a second. Let's turn things on.
Take that shot.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular council meeting for Monday, July the 8th. This meeting is being recorded and publicly broadcast on the town's YouTube channel. Before we get into the regular council agenda, we do have the Fiddleville Nonprofit Housing Corporation board meeting. So we will call that meeting to order first at 6:30. We do have a quorum, so that's not a problem. Just a reminder to members to declare any conflicts of interest or any pecuniary interest that you may have with respect to any agenda item on tonight's agenda. I don't see any. Moving on then to our minutes from the January 29th board meeting. Can I have a mover and seconder to get those minutes on the board for discussion? By Vice Chair Hall, seconded by Member Descharty. Any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. All right, so I will turn it over to Trevor for financial reports.
I apologize. I was late coming. I'm using old school technology, my cell phone. We believe we're doing the AGM, are we not? Or did I miss that?
We can, if you want to do that first.
Is that okay? Normally we
Sure.
do that first.
Sure,
Okay.
yeah.
So then I think we would turn to Ben Cole to present the financials, your auditor.
Okay, sure, yeah. So Auditor Cole, do you want to provide your report?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll just take a few minutes and we'll walk through the December 31st, 2023 annual financial statements for the Housing Corporation. My audit report is on page 2 and 3. It's an unqualified audit opinion. In other words, I was satisfied that your financial statements were fairly stated. So no problems noted. The audit report is dated today, assuming that the board will approve the draft statements today, and that's how we're required now to date the audit reports. The numbers start on page 4, which is your balance sheet. So at December 31st, we'll just work from the top down. We had $12,600 in the bank account. You'll notice that was dramatically lower than the year before, but the offset to that was there were several years of Dufferin County settlements for subsidy repayable owing to them the year before. So when they finally processed all those and you repaid that subsidy, your cash level went back down to a more normal range. Accounts receivable, $29,840. There's about $6,400 of rent, so that's a minor part of it. The main part of that receivable balance is your HST rebate, which was filed in 2024. And that's an annual process. You recover about 80% of the HST that you pay on all of your expenses. Prepaid's $18,000. That's mainly insurance, which is paid once a year and 9 months in advance. Subsidy receivable for the month of December that arrived in your bank account in early January. Reserve fund investments, $119,000. Those are the investments with World Source Financial for reserve fund expenses. The land in the building, we've written it down now to $516,952. That is equal to the amount that is still outstanding on the mortgage. So that will eventually come down to zero as the mortgage gets paid off. And then we've got, old capital programs that the county required us to put on your balance sheet, and there's offsetting forgivable loans in the liability section. And those will disappear once we hit the 10-year anniversary mark on each program. Liabilities, again, nothing really unusual. Accounts payable, $24,000. Those are things like the audit invoice for the year, which I don't issue until now when the work's done. Utility bills for November and December that get paid in January, February, and any other amounts owing to suppliers that provided services in 2023 and didn't get paid until the turn of the year. The accrued mortgage payment, $18,452. The mortgage payment goes out of your bank account the first week of January. Last month's rent deposits and subsidy payable. We're expecting you to have to repay just over $12,000 of 2023 subsidy. And you can see again, last year it was $152,000, and all of those prior years got settled and cleaned up during 2023. Okay, let's flip over to page 5 if we could. This shows the two fund balances, your general fund balance on the top half of the page. You guys have built up a nice little surplus of $134,000. When Dufferin County reviewed the 2022 statements, they made an adjustment for $20. So we've adjusted your statements so that they're in sync. And we're showing a small deficit this year of $3,175. So your ending surplus is $131,644. The reserve fund down below, it's pretty depleted. Started the year at $1,700. The portion of the county funding that is allocated to that fund was $36,244. Your investments made a bit of money, $3,300. And $40,000 was charged to the fund. So there are specific types of repairs that are charged to the replacement reserve fund: appliances, flooring replacements, kitchen countertops, and I believe the fire panel was replaced in the apartment building. So that makes up the $40,000 that was spent. So you're ending the year pretty close to zero, $384. Okay, the income statement is on page 6. We've got market rents at $193,000 and RGI rents at $101,000. Your occupancy target is to have 17 market and 28 RGI. And during 2023, you were pretty much bang on that occupancy target. So you'll see those numbers are incredibly close to your budget numbers. The subsidy from the county, $360,000. Laundry and interest was $9,700. And the solar panel revenue, $8,500. And we're expecting the company to have to repay $12,000 of subsidy. And in case you're wondering why you have to repay that, when the county set your subsidy, they didn't use $100,000 for the budget for RGI rents. They used $90,000. So because you collected more in RGI rent revenue than they had thought you would, that's why there's this subsidy repayment. Okay. And on the expense side, administrative expenses, $44,859. That includes your property management contract, professional fees, any office charges, things of that nature. Bad debt expense, $6,100. Amortization of $203,000. That is the amount of mortgage principal that got paid off during the year. Insurance, $21,000. Maintenance salaries, $59,000. That includes benefits, of course. Interest on the debt, $17,443. So you can see almost all of your mortgage payments at this point represent principal as opposed to interest. Materials and services came in at a little over budget, $100,000. Municipal property taxes at $86,000 were pretty consistent with last year. The transfer to the reserve fund is set by the county, so it always equals the budget number. And utilities, $88,400 were pretty close to budget in prior year as well. So no real big surprises there. And the deficit at the end of the year for the year was $3,100. I'm going to stop there. I won't drag you through all the notes and accounting policies and other information that's in the statements. If there's any questions, we'll certainly try and answer them.
Okay, any questions for the auditor? Okay, if not, I would entertain a motion then to approve the draft audit financial statements as presented. By Sample, seconded by. Okay. All in favor? Okay, thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you. Have a good night.
You too. I'm just going to jump back. We'll approve the minutes of our last AGM, which was held on May 8th, 2023. Can I move for a second or approve those minutes? Second by majority. Any questions on those minutes? Favor? All right, Trevor, I guess the only other thing is the appointment of the auditor for 2024 year end.
Yep,
For the
that
AGM.
would, my recommendation be continue with Mr. Cole, because his historical nature of it is good for him to be redoing it each year. And also I think there's a bit of a dearth of auditors for this type of work, so we're very pleased with them.
All right, is there somebody who'd like to make a motion? Those facts. Vice Chair Hall, second Sample, so that is to reappoint Ben Cole as the auditor for the year ending December 2024. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we don't need to set the date for next year's AGM at this point, do we?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the AGM and then we'll jump back over to the regular board agenda. Sample, seconded by 30. All in favor? It's carried. All right, so we've already approved the minutes from the January meeting. Trevor, if you want to go through the financials and the property management report.
Okay, let me just go back to the report here. I do apologize, there was a problem. So if you look at page 7, so candidates, you'll have our balance sheet there on page 7. Our new systems, I do like some of the improvements in it, although it's quite a bit different. Sorry, my screen moved. So I'm putting in the previous year, the date, sorry. So you got the balance for the bank account on January 24th was $12,000. We're showing $54,000 now. We have made a profit so far year to date. You'll see the accounts receivable, a couple lines on line 1100 there. It's gone from 10,000 to 15,000. We do know that we were missing a deposit in May that we've looked and located. So that, the total increase gone from $74 to $9,400, but there was some money that was collected in May that we missed. We moved, just to apologize, like our audit is late this year, our year AGM. We did move April 15th, I mean, and we do apologize, but it's been a very onerous project moving office locations. So we are a little behind, including this payment of, I think it was a deposit of $2,600 that was just, hasn't been input yet. So I do apologize for that. Carrying on, nothing too material. In fact, if you go to page 8 at the bottom, as a bottom line person, the reserve fund has gone from $383 to $8,200. That's because we allocate so much of the subsidy each month comes in from the county. We allocate it to the reserve fund. So far, knock on wood, we've had a little better year. We've made $8,000 of accumulated there. And the retained earnings have gone from 142 to 144. And the reason I mostly apologize is because if you go to the next page, page 9, we've reproduced page 9 and 10 should be our income statement. And so I apologize for that. But we are showing a 2,000 year to date. We made $2,000, and again, I apologize. I just noticed that we copied the same thing twice, so we don't have an update on the budget comparison. But we made $2,000 as we, last year we had almost a break even year. We are back to kind of being just break even each year.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Trevor? Okay, I have a motion then to approve financials as presented.
I will forward to the board, the income, the budget comparison tomorrow. But
Yeah, I was gonna
I'll
ask,
do
if
it.
maybe just
Yeah.
email that
Yeah,
to
we
us.
absolutely can. Yes, we can. It was completed. It's in the file. We just copied with our new scanner, the wrong thing.
All right, all in favor of carried? Okay, and property management report?
Nothing too material. I could turn over to Donna, but we're right on target. The maintenance report is attached. There's no vacancies since the last board meeting, which is always good. Always make sure year end go better, like if you have a few vacancies. So on page 6, Donna has attached the work orders that we've done in the building since our last board meeting. And there's not much there. Some plumbing repairs, like $2,500. That, boy, you hate to say it too loudly, but that's a great year so far, year to date. Say no vacancies.
Yep, thanks so much. So, where are we sitting at right now with, the projects that we discussed last August? The park, for example, being removed and, potentially turned into something new, maybe gazebo or whatnot. The curb that needed to be addressed, the overhang over the building window, the eaves troughs, all of that, cause we haven't really had any, communication with regards to where that is.
Okay. I will turn that over to Donna because she has answers in all those for sure.
Actually, the biggest question we have is for the ramp, front entrance, the entrance into the March building.
Yeah.
That.
Are you there, Donna?
Yeah, well, and that was all part of what we discussed, right, in August.
A
So-
ramp going into the big building is still a hazard for those with accessibility along with that over class over.
Is Donna online? We
Can you
don't
hear
see
me?
her. Oh, yeah, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Donna.
Okay, so the playground was removed. We're working on taking the mulch out because the cost to remove the mulch was very expensive. And some of these items fall under your capital. So we did all the trees for just over $9,000. Been working on trying to get people to quote on the cleaning of the eaves troughs. I finally received one after I think we reached out to 5 different contractors. So I do have one for cleaning the gutters from a Shine Shack in Guelph. They came out for $2,500, so we'll be contracting them. The trip hazard curb that was by the mailbox area and the entrance of the playground, that has been repaired for around $2,500. The contractor that was contracted to do the overhang, the canopy, I should say, and the front entrance Unistone entrance, the contractor he had subbed out for the canopy has backed out. So we are working on, he is working on that, and we are working on that. So that is not something that is, we're hoping to have that completed this year. The SHRP money that we received from the county, we have redone all the flooring in the apartment complex, in the corridors, to the vinyl plank, and it looks really nice. It unfortunately is a little bit noisier than the carpet, but it will last a lot longer, easier to clean, especially when people spill their coffees or the winter slush comes in. I'm not sure. The curbs, we weren't doing the curbs along the front of the townhouses because we did not get funding from the COCHI funding from the county. I don't know if you want to touch on that, Trevor?
Yeah, we're hopefully getting more money this year, but that was very pricey to do that walkway along there. But we are doing some, once we get the gazebo or pergola, whatever you want to call in front of the entranceway there, that was quoted from a company. We accepted their quote, and now they're saying it's not their fault, but the company they're using to sub it out won't do it. So we're hopefully getting that done. And then we're going to do some concrete work in front with that entranceway for access at the same time. That was all part of the same parcel. So we're just kind of waiting for him to come through and get somebody else, or we'll find another contractor. Hopefully for the same money, because the county gave us, the Muskoka, County of Dufferin gave us some money for that.
Where's the mulch going? Is it being removed entirely? I have a concern with making sure that it's gone.
We're putting it on the trees.
Yeah,
It's so much, and it's very costly to have it taken away by a company, that we thought if we can, as much as we can use, we put it around the trees around the boulevard. It's not an area that, you know, kids are going to be in.
I don't like that.
That's still contaminated, mulch, chips, are they not still?
Yeah, trees and so.
what did the vendor say about that, Donna?
He just quoted that the mulch was wet because there is obviously a drainage issue underneath the playground. Hence why we decided to take the playground out, because there's no way that we can really afford to determine what, you know, the drainage issue is for the property, just the slope of the land and everything. If you want me to take the mulch away, I'm sorry, I'm just looking to see if I have.
I don't think it's contaminated. There was supposedly some cat feces and stuff in it, but I mean, I feel comfortable putting it around the trees, like for decorative. We weren't too concerned about that. We don't feel like, I'm not sure any mulch would be safe really for kids to generally play in, but they're only playing in it under the trees, etc. We were thinking that was a good choice to use it that way.
Refresh my memory, was it tested at one point?
Yeah, and the guy said that found some cat feces in it, but he wasn't concerned, other than, like, our issue was how much of the cats peeing in there as a whole. But you know, cat urine, you know, it's just dirty. So we're just cleaning out, putting it under the trees, thinking raccoons and stuff or whatever will be peeing in it still, like any, you know, time mulch, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think there's, if I remember correctly, I think there's more to, or if I remember correctly, there was some black mold contamination in there.
There was some pea stone in it. There was mud, sand, weeds, and it was very wet.
Copy of that report?
Pardon me?
Okay, let's give it those.
Yeah.
But if you would like, we can stop what we're doing with it, and I can get a price to have it removed.
I think we should at least review a price to have it.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just looking here. There might have been. Okay, to remove the mulch, $2,800 plus HST.
We
Companies
just thought, honestly, it was great mulch. We thought it was great mulch to use elsewhere. Like, kind of thought that was a great use of the mulch.
But I do have a quote here that I received last week to remove that mulch. So $2,800, and if the board would like me to proceed with that, I will.
I think mulch is gonna get wet regardless of where it is, and that's part of the purpose, that over time it breaks down and turns back into organic material and feeds the trees. So absent of any real contamination, I think we have to be careful about doing that turnaround. If the report didn't highlight contaminants in the mulch, I mean, I'm not. I'd be a too much.
Right.
If you want to make a motion.
No, I mean, if we're like to get voted down, so just from the conversation we're having right now, so, yeah.
Yeah, we just naively just thought it was a good use of the mulch. rather than pay to have it hauled somewhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it'll look nice, we think. Like, so that's the idea.
I mean, it is a lot of mulch. It is, goes down quite a few feet. So, and this quote also, was to replace it with, 6 inches of topsoil that we would then put down some seed.
And you're still gonna go ahead with that though, right? When the mobile.
Well, we were gonna go ahead with putting topsoil down. We were just not sure about removing, taking out the mulch, but, okay, so removing the mulch, replacing it with 6 inches of topsoil, we'll put some seed, we'll water it. And we'll have a grassed area for the residents to use.
I think it's a good decision.
That's what we discussed.
Oh, yeah, that I don't have a problem. It's
Yeah, me too.
me and
Yeah.
Shop best friends, so.
Okay, I'll have them,
Yeah.
I'll have to do that, I'll contact them tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Great. All right, anything else from the management report?
No, we're just, as I said, we're still working, trying to get, somebody else to come in with a price, on the canopy. Because the front unistone, and the canopy is part and parcel of the same job.
Yeah, I think, you know, part of the concern, if we could at least put a push on and make sure that's done before winter again, because I think one of the concerns was with the snow load. You know, the way it looks, I don't think anybody had a lot of confidence that it's gonna work. So, I get it, you know, contractors back out for various reasons, but if we can put a push on that to try to at least get that done before we are confronting snowy weather again, that would be appreciated.
Are we worried about like fully replacing it, or should we just like remove it? Maybe really.
Yeah,
We have to have
it
something.
provides some shelter. It works.
I just worry that, again, the excuse will be there's nobody to do it, which I understand because contractors are far and few between, but.
Well, we need again before we'll
Yeah.
have snow. So I mean, if we're still dealing with a situation where we can't find a contractor, then perhaps we look at just removing it entirely until we can find somebody to replace.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, agree. Yep.
Okay, can I have a motion then to receive the property management reports? By sample, all in favor? It's carried. All right, any new business, Trevor?
Nope. Nope.
I'm sorry, I missed that with sample and, For the motion.
Moved by member Wagner, seconded
Oh.
by Sam.
thank you.
Any new business for members? So next meeting date,
Still, September, please.
September 9th or 23rd.
23rd, please.
Yeah. Is there
It's
any
a
way to
budget
have
meeting.
your, like, meeting at the building with the residents again? That's a description. Yeah. So just wondering if there's a possibility to maybe have the next meeting at, the building with residents to voice any concerns that they currently have or issues that maybe weren't addressed last year?
Sure. We wouldn't want to do it on a council night then. That would be fair to say?
Yeah,
Or would
yeah.
that be?
do you want to do that for the September meeting then?
I think it'd be separate.
Yeah, we'd have to pick another.
Yeah, the date.
What's the Monday in between the 9th, the third?
September 16th.
That work?
For you guys?
Yep.
Okay, all right, so September 16th, and that will be on site at 255 Robert Street.
Yeah, 6:30.
Yeah, we'll do a 6:30 start.
Excellent.
Okay,
Perfect.
Okay.
with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Shardy and Sample. Favor. Here, all right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys, enjoy your nights.
Thanks, guys.
Good night. Thanks.
All right, so we'll flip over to our regular council agenda. Call that meeting to order at 7 o'clock. And we will begin with playing the national anthem. So if you're ready, please stand and join us. Okay, we'd like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the town of Shelburne resides within the traditional territory and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, including the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, Chippewa, and the people who require the Confederacy. These traditional territories upon which we live, work, play, and learn are steeped in rich indigenous history and traditions. And it's with this statement that we declare the honor and respect the past and present connection of indigenous people with this land, its waterways, and resources. Standard reminder for members to declare any pecuniary interests. You can declare those now or as any agenda item may arise. See any? On to the minutes from our June 24th council meeting. I move and seconder to approve those minutes as circulated. Mr. Sample, seconded by Council Wagner. Any discussion on those minutes? Favor? Here. Okay, we are going to change things slightly. So Rotary Club is scheduled to give a presentation. We had told them not to come until 7:30, but we thought maybe the nonprofit housing board would go a little bit longer. So we'll do question period, we'll do council inquiries, and I think we'll jump into the first reports. And then we'll have both reading when they're here. So before we jump into the reports, are there any questions for question period? Done. Any council inquiries? Councilor Donato.
Not really an inquiry, but I had an opportunity to see some of our hardworking staff at County Park working in the gardens. I watched Tess, Sandra, Rebecca, and Nathan meeting and thinking that park was beautiful. And I think that we should offer congratulations to those four hardworking people that gave us a nice, beautiful park out there, and I know they worked hard to the whole town, so. Yeah. Make sure you mention to them that as council, we really thank them for their hard work.
Okay. Got the winner.
Thank you. So this next, question, I guess, would be directed for Jim. Just wondering, updates on the road painting. There's still quite a few streets that I'm noticing that kind of haven't yet been done, so just wondering where that's at.
It's tree worship. We've had our contractor in and done the major routes that we were gonna do. Our own internal line painting. We haven't started yet. We've gotten some new staff up to speed and training. And we should be ready to go very soon. We have street sweeping out of the way. We've got good weather conditions, so we're fine for it right away.
Okay, do you know how long it might take to complete?
It
Lots of streets.
does take
Well, yeah, of course, but you got a general idea.
weather dependent, but there is a lot too with the downtown parking spots for painting. And then up Greenwood, all the bicycle sharrows and everything.
Exactly.
It's a better part of a month, month and a half, but we have good weather. So.
Okay, alright, so hopefully before the fall.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you never know, it's been raining a lot, so. Okay, awesome, thank you so much. Just another quick one, I had a, community member kind of reach out to me, they noticed a rain barrel program through Orangeville. And, I know we've had one in the past, it was like quite a while ago though, it's where I got my rain barrel from. And I was just wondering if we can do something like that for the community, or if we can piggyback off of Orangeville or the county or something, just because there's some people, I guess, who, especially with all the rain that I just mentioned, they're looking to, you know, have some kind of a purchasing program with, you know, I guess the incentive is, it's sort of supplemented or subsidized a bit, where the price is a little bit lower. So just wasn't sure if we could do something like that.
Through the mayor, we can certainly look into it, what we probably wanna look at though is what subsidy would be required on behalf of the taxpayer. And also compare that price with what's available from our local businesses that sell rain barrels, similar to other gardening needs. We certainly appreciate, and we actually reference that in the water wastewater study, that a way for the family to reduce their overall costs. We potentially to supplement the rain barrel, so we will provide you some kind of analysis quickly and let you know, it may be something where we can actually create a partnership with a business that actually provides that, where they're happy to offer a 5% discount or something if you purchase that. Let us explore what the options are. We certainly agree that advocating for rain barrel use is a really positive thing for our communities to embrace.
I think that is the sort of arrangement, or so I can check with Maripost on Thursday night.
I don't think they directly
No.
sell them, like they, sometimes the conservation authority may have a program similar to trees. But again, there's a requirement there that there's a subsidy, and we haven't encountered for that this year, but let us look at that and how we can coordinate something based on if that's within our neighboring community.
Yeah, 100%, that sounds great.
And I think before when it was done in town, I think the county did spearhead
I think
that.
so too,
and it's
yeah.
quite a while.
Yeah, pretty sure it was the county, and then, they were like $50 or something like that, so I don't know the details, but I did buy one.
I was part of the group that asked for it. That's the county spearhead. It was the county that spearheaded it, so the whole county basically, they went to the coastal water. Same as green bins.
Okay, yeah,
While it was well received, it wasn't well used. Those rain barrels ended up a lot of it, not being used properly. You know, whether they froze up winter time or not, and there was
Yeah.
no training behind it.
Yes,
to
I think
say-
that's key.
To say you can't leave it full of
Yes.
water.
Exactly.
You know, across the open soil.
yeah,
So
Yeah,
that was part of the
that's-
issue as well. Like I have two rain barrels at home, and when Jim sent out the notice saying, I can't have any water in my taps, I can use the water.
yeah,
So that's, you know, part of the promotion,
yeah,
that does reduce the amount of water that we have to pump up. Speed gardens.
Yeah. definitely. Perfect,
All
that's,
right, so we'll
that's me,
get some more information. And we'll get
thank you.
Councilor Thirty.
Okay, I have three. First, is congratulations to the candidate committee, and a big thanks to volunteers and sponsors and vendors and staff, because they went above and beyond this year to ensure a successful candidate day, so if you could pass along the staff, they've done an amazing job, and greatly appreciate it.
And I'll return thanks to you. I was going to mention that. I know you played a big part yourself in that, and you put in a lot of hours, not only on the day of, but leading up to it. And I heard nothing but appreciative comments from the community that it was a great event. So yes, thank you.
Second one has to do with the Children's Center for Health. Just want to acknowledge that they have been recognized as an accredited training facility with the University of Metropolitan Toronto. And question to you, because you're on county, I know they were looking for some 600 or 700 square feet space. I don't know where they are on that. Can you maybe update us on that?
Yeah, so that was raised at the Health and Human Services Committee meeting last month. Neither Deputy Mayor Hall or myself were on that committee, but that request was well received. And on recommendation coming to county council this Thursday night is that the space be provided at charge $1 per year. So certainly the committee recognized the value to the community providing that space, and I don't anticipate there's going to be any problems at council on Thursday night, but it won't be formally.
No, you won't vote. Yeah. Okay, no, that's fine. I mean, we could have up to 6 interns here in the community, which is incredible news. And finally, we had discussed, and we actually had at one point in time a bench for the just across the road here for the bus pickup, which was then eventually removed when the paving took place. There's been some back channel conversations with some of staff on that.
Not reinstall
That's not, no, I know Will was involved in,
Through your worship, when you look at the property lines, there was a lot of grass area there that's now parking lot that isn't town property, so we just didn't have the room to put it back in yet. So we're kind of stuck on where to put it for the bus stop and still have it on our own property there.
okay.
Is there somewhere else we could, what if it's close by?
We'll look.
All right, so we will jump into reports. Oh,
Not all, so not all of them.
okay.
Should I let them know the next time? Sure, I'll be there 20 minutes and they were fine.
We'll forward to have the plan be then. Okay, so our first report is CAO report 2024-02, which is a report on our community risk assessment. So I will turn it over to Denise, and then I think she's going to introduce some steps.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Mills. So we have with us tonight representatives with Center Performance Incorporated, Mr. David Ellaway, and his colleague, Mr. Sean Armstrong, who's joining us via. I have provided a very brief staff report to introduce this project, which was something that all municipalities across Ontario need to complete, which is community risk assessment with respect to fire services. So we undertook this project. We actually worked as part of the team with the town of Orangeville through their RFP. And through that process, we had the opportunity to work with them. They had the deferred, and Center Performance was one of those. So it was probably a 4 to 5 month undertaking to have the work completed. Overall, a municipality has a responsibility, and council has that responsibility to ensure that the fire services of your community are those that you have oversight of. We also recognize that we have a unique situation with respect to how the board is structured, but as Mr. Ellaway and the team outlined, that doesn't adjust the accountabilities of council in terms of making decisions. Something that you all do know, it's not new news, is what the 3 lines of defense are, and I reference that in the report. It's also going to be fully explored during the report, but it is public fire safety education, fire safety standards, and enforcement. So the presentation that the company will provide to you is included in Appendix 1. The CRA report is very comprehensive and provided in Appendix 2. And the process will include that following tonight's presentation, that report is completed by the firm on our behalf, will be submitted to the Office of the Fire Marshal or OFM. Without repeating what's in the report, I just highlighted what the profiles are which they undertook. They're listed, as well as what their recommendations were, and I'm sure that maybe there'll be some of those that council will want to discuss. And there's no current impact to our budget, but certainly some of the recommendations for the future would need to be explored or extensively discussed with respect to how this affects the overall Shelburne District Fire Department. And that percentage, which I've summarized on how that budget is constituted, whereby Shelburne pays 56.34% of that budget based on the 2024 budget. And I would be remiss, and I apologize, that Fire Chief Stroll Snyder is also with us, and he is joining us. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Mr. David Galloway to walk the council through the report.
We have slides. First slide. First of all, I'd like to say, Your Worship and Council, thank you very much for putting your trust in us to do your community risk assessment. I will introduce myself. My name is David Galloway. I am the Chief for Century Performance. With me tonight is Sean Armstrong by video. Both of us are retired fire chiefs, and both of us have had a little bit of experience in doing some of these things through various different means. Both of the departments that we have led have been accredited departments. That accreditation involves a third party coming in and doing a peer review on your department. So do you do what you say you're going to do? Do you set yourself targets? Do you use improvement in your organization? That's the background that we come from for this. I'm sorry to look over my shoulder here, but I can't see Sean. Sean, anything?
Can you see? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sean, anything to add to that intro there?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Dave. I have my little audio problem here, but I know nothing to add for that slide. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to start then with the community risk assessment slide. Yeah, that's the right. The biggest question, why are we doing this? And as the CAO has just announced, as part of her introduction, we're doing it because Ontario regulations require us. But at the end of the day, it's also the right thing to do. To take a look at the things that we're responsible for and determine whether or not they're meeting those responsibilities. In this particular case, you've got the regulation that requires the community risk assessment to be completed by the community risk assessment provides council both at the end of this presentation, at the end of reading the documentation and so on that's been provided for you, an understanding of the need for the 3 lines of defense and what they are. The interesting thing is everybody looks at what the shiny red trucks are that are going to things. That's the last line of defense. Everything else is failed. That's why we're there. The community risk assessment itself, it's going to give some characteristics that may impact the fire safety and life safety risks in the 9 profiles as introduced by the CAO. The profiles are ones that are mandated and the ones that we had to look at within the lens of the Ministry on. At the end of the day, you should have council, as a council, should have an understanding of what community risks are. And those risks are ones that are driven by data. So this is not just about us putting a thumbtack on the map, this is actually something data for you. Within each community profile, there's a probability and a consequence. And those things are scaled. If you look at something that is very likely to happen, but it will have minimal consequences full of risk. But if you look at something that, even though it's unlikely to happen, it has vast consequences, it's a very significant higher risk. And there's a risk matrix methodology that we use. You can have a slide that later on here. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you as council, you have to make some decisions that are based on the information that we've put before you. At the end of the day, you can choose to accept the risk, you can mitigate a risk, you can transfer a risk, you can avoid a risk. Those are basically what our options are, and it's up to council to decide how you're going to deal with those things. So go to the next slide. This slide shows us the matrix that I was just talking about. So if you have something that is rare and it's insignificant, it becomes very low risk. If you have something that is a catastrophic outcome consequence in one of the areas.
Even though it might be rare, it's still moderate risk. But if you accelerate that, it's almost certain to happen, which is high risk. And for council, as we set the community risk assessment forward, we've also given you some treatment options, which we think would be helpful for you. And those aren't ones that we just picked in isolation, we've had some consultation on them. That will help you make your decisions as to where you go with this. So on our next slide, the community risk assessment outcomes. This is to provide council with options that are just spoken about to determine how you want to be able to mitigate or to be able to respond to the risks or to be able to avoid the risks. One of the things that you need to look at is whether or not you need to update your enabling regulating file. Does it cover the services explicitly that you authorize on behalf of the council or the community itself? Does it cover the current community risks and the types and the levels of service? We want to make sure that council has an understanding of the need to have the 3 lines of defense and very specific programs within the community are be able to cover fire prevention, be able to cover the investigations, be able to cover enforcement, and then be able to have obviously the suppression program. We want to provide council with an understanding of the implications of the certification requirements, which I'm not sure something that council has heard about, but it's not heard about. But ultimately, the certification requirements, in a nutshell, put this way, says if you're going to offer a service, unless you've been a firefighter for a long period of time and you fall under a grandparent designation, you must be certified to be. And the certification means that you are confident, capable, and you're adequately trained to be able to provide the delivery of the service that you want. And the service itself is broken down many different ways. But at the end of the day, from here on in, this is part of what we have to do on a go-forward basis. All of our new firefighters will be trained and certified. The one thing that I do want to leave you with is the very best emergency that you can possibly go to is the one that you don't go to because you prevented it. And that's the first 2 lines of defense. That's your fire prevention. That's your inspections. And that is the reduction piece. If you can achieve those 2 things, hopefully you never have to do the 3rd line of defense. But when it fails, and it will, because there's always circumstances that are going to escape the process, that's where you have to have the robust suppression program. John, anything to add to that?
No, I just wanted to remind your worship and members of council that this community risk assessment is 5 years in duration. But throughout the term of this community risk assessment, Center Performance remains in your service to answer questions or give guidance with respect to any content within. That's it, Dave.
So we have the next slide. The key themes that have been identified, as you'll see as we read through your community risk assessment. The fire service is more than just emergency response. As we talked about, it's about how do we mitigate things through inspections, how do we prevent things from occurring in the first place in order to be able to enhance your safety within the community itself. I've got a bullet here that says credentialing and continuity of operations. This is what we were just talking about with the concept of having your certifications in place. And when you look at the continuity of operations, do you have sufficient persons, so human resource, to be able to provide services, all of those services that are authorized by council? You have it now, and can you build a plan to make sure that you have that human resource for the future as you grow? Data will help council make informed decisions. One of the challenges that we have is that we always look at things and we have trust opinions. But at the end of the day, we want to have some data that backs those things up, that shows what it is that we're trying to speak about. Whether that's where our concentration of incidents are. When we have those things, and you'll see in the report, we've broken it down into a number of different categories for you. And I would suggest that council can do what they want to be able to help ensure that health and safety. But when we look at, for instance, high collision locations, you ask yourself the question, is there something that we can do in that infrastructure that at the end of the slide that we're redesigning it, can we redesign it safe? Can we do that? In fact, reduces the harm, reduces the risk. And then I would say setting goals and objectives. As I spoke about from the very beginning, the department that both Chief Armstrong and myself led Both of those departments were accredited departments where we set ourselves goals, we set ourselves objectives, we measured ourselves, we had key performance indicators that we reported to council on. We had key reporting indicators that we actually reported back to the accreditation agency as well. When we set ourselves goals and reported on how well we did. So those are all things that will allow you to have continuous improvement. So you're aligning what the services are, what the risks are, the community, what the needs are. And that will help you understand the requirements for the long-term capital growth plan. So as the municipality grows, how do you grow the services? That's your challenge. How do you grow the services to make sure that they are adequate for that new size and municipal entity that we're going to have. The other thing is to look at the partnerships in the community and understand that we are a community and we're not in this all on our own as a fire service and as a municipality. There are other organizations that have established programs that you can reach out to and that can help you. So you don't have to necessarily put the, let's call it the expensive firefighter resource into doing something. There may be a partner agency in the community that is able to be able to take on a portion of that and incorporate it. A good example of that is your school laws. They may be a partner for fire safety and fire safe behaviors. Start them early to get you going. Sean, anything for that?
One of the first things the council can do when they look at things through the establishing and regulating bylaws, use this community risk assessment to establish, do we really need this type of service right now? Does the data back that? And that would be an awesome first start to ensuring that council is making data-informed decisions with the types and level of service. So that's one way you could use this community risk assessment, is to set the foundational piece for your fire services in your area. Thank you, Dave.
Yep, next slide then is the data that we use to finish the profile risks. Used into the data from Shelburne District Fire Department and from the dispatch center. We looked at the responses. We spoke about training and training records, fire prevention programs, investigations, and we looked at the Ontario Fire Marshal's reported data. We looked at the Talents Hazard Index and risk assessment, which is something that you must produce through the emergency management regulations. And I realized that the town has delegated its responsibilities through the county on that front. So we've looked at it. First, we talked about some specific things for Shelburne. We looked at specific ones. We looked at the general ones in the county. We've looked at the kinds of supports that are available for you in the community. We've looked at the demographic information. What do you have that the people do? Do they live in town? Do they work in town? We've looked at the public safety agencies who are there within the community who are able to support the fire department, or who the fire department are able to support. That's a two-way street in public safety growth. We look at economic drivers, we look at critical infrastructure, look at the geography of the area, we've looked at other factors such as tourism or transient populations, people who wouldn't be familiar with the area or with the impact factors in the area. Certainly we've had consultation with staff and with Chief Snyder, and I can't thank them enough for the assistance that they have given. Again, we're looking at this from the 40,000 foot view. We're trying to drill down into things, but it's nothing like the ability to be able to reach out to somebody and say, this is the way I'm understanding exactly the way it actually is. It's very helpful. So can't thank the staff enough for the help they've given as part of that local assessment and understanding. Because we tried to do this from a data-driven point of view, where we've looked at the data, we've also gone out and we've looked at literature, researched the information to support the opinions that we may have. Our opinions are not always right in fact, but now we've tried throughout the CRA to be able to resource listings for you. So if you want to go and read them yourself, you we may have pulled some things out of some of those articles, and some of them may have just general concept, etc. But at least it's there. You can see where it came from. But those things have been very dangerous. The impacts of your climate change, the age, the demographics, the substance use, all kinds of things that will impact a community over time. We looked at the applicable regulations. We looked at the existing education reforms, and we looked at, for instance, fuel loads in forests. That one might seem a little strange, given that we're in a town of 6.6 square kilometers, it doesn't have a whole lot of forest. You have a lot of forested area before you decide it. And if something gets out of control somewhere else, it's going to impact you depending on which way the wind is blowing. It's coming from the northwest, some fires on So at least you're probably okay. But if it's the opposite way around, it will occur. So we want to make sure that we look at what the impacts are, and how things are changing. We can't change global warming per se, but we can certainly carry on in a trend that is going to mitigate some of this. Sean, anything to that?
No, thank you, Dave. I'm good.
We can go to the next slide. This will show you the fire service incident response map. And that's from 2018 to 2023. You'll see that it's broken down into hexagons. Those hexagons, those really are, the key for that is showing you the number of calls at that rough location. And when we say rough location, we have the actual locations, we have them plotted. I'm very happy to be able to provide that, but I can't do it in the public document because it's going to identify individual residences potentially or property parcels that we've had and are tied to a specific incident. I think that was quite fair. What you can see there, though, you can see from the darker the color, more concentrated number of incidents that there are. So that would lead one to ask the question of go to take a look into the other data to be able to see, is it a fire incident? Is it a false fire incident? Is it a rescue incident? Is it a medical incident? What kind of thing is the driver behind that? You'll see that there's an awful lot of them that come into the counter. If we can go to the next slide. This is just roughly where your town of Shelburne Fire Department incidents have ranged from 2018 to 2023. So you can see how the numbers have staggered themselves. You see that there's a little bit of a drop that correlates with COVID. All of a sudden people were at home, now we're back on the pickup side of that. As we go on, I think you'll see that in just about everybody's stats across the board. Sean, anything out of those two slides?
No, just on the map part, Dave, it's interesting to see the trends in the town of Shelburne and how you could break those calls down. Look, these represent all the calls that the town of Shelburne Fire Services went to and the partners. But you can use these mapping hexes to see where you might focus your public education efforts. And if there are motor vehicle collisions, you might want to socialize that information over your media platforms and make sure that the community understands that there's a high volume of motor vehicle incidents there or other types of incidents that they may want to be aware of. And there may be other openings within that information to provide access to training programs, say if it's a medical call or CPR, and connecting with your community partners to give people the first aid training they need to address a cardiac arrest or an unconscious person. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. I know we spoke earlier on about potentially redesigning the intersection when it comes to end of life, but you also have a high collision rate. There are speed limits that are within council's mandate. There's signage that's within council's mandate. There's all kinds of things that we can do to color. We can just go to the. We can go to the next slide. This shows you what your breakdown is of your risk. And if you have a look at this, your gray or 7.1% of your risk assessment consists of what we believe to be high risks after having looked at the data and then looked at the analysis through the chart. The vast majority of your risks are the moderate risks, which are the orange ones, and then you have low risks at about just under 40%. So overall, that's showing you what the general concept is. If we can go to the next slide, this actually breaks down the 9 profiles, and it shows you how it is that we have rated them. And what we have done here is, I'll use the example of the geographic profile. We've shown that one as being moderate risk. Does not mean that there are not low risks within it. Does not mean that there are not high risks within it. And each one of these breaks down exactly the same way. Some of them have high within them, and some of them have, they all have high within them or low within them. But when we look at the total number of risks that we looked at, that's what that pie chart is.
Can I just ask a quick question? Within that pie chart, is that something you see, like, are we comparable to other communities that you've done risk assessments for? Like, with regards to say the high risk being 7.1%, is that high that you see, or are we kind of right in the middle? Like, are we?
Through your worship. I understand the question, and that you're actually in pretty good shape.
Okay.
Everybody worries about where to be Where do we want to
Like,
with
yeah.
everything else? I would tell you that some of the things that you are doing already through your licensing, as an example, with businesses, very proactive by having that fire inspection as part of that. Wish everybody would do that, because it sure as heck helps in the long run. But not everybody does that. And if you were in Northern Ontario, as an example, where you're completely surrounded by very dry forests with insects going in one direction, insects going in the other direction, I would tell you that it probably has a lot more high risk than where you are. But for where you are here, I think you're probably in good shape.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dave?
Go ahead, John.
One of the things that is very interesting about the pie chart is most of the municipalities have a high and low, a moderate and low risk. The intent of looking at all the profiles independently and then gathering together is there's a lot of strategic activities that a fire chief might undertake or a fire service might undertake just by using some SMART goals in terms of the trends and the data that's findings within the report, and then try to move that moderate risk to a more of a lower risk. So representing less orange and more blue. And some of the higher risk issues may always be there, and it could be industrial in nature or global warming or climate change or severe weather. But really, it's moving that orange into more of a blue format, and that would be incrementally a good strategic activity for a fire service to undertake.
Thank you for that, Sean. You're absolutely correct, and Sean's absolutely correct in that. That's the power of setting the goals and objectives. Find the things within this report, and we give you treatment options in each one of the profiles. What are the things that are going to bear the best results? Some of those might be real quick wins because they're real low hanging fruit and they're easy to be able to obtain. That's great. But let's find our way to be able to work to the ones that are going to give you the most, let's call it bang for the buck on the safety side.
Just to interrupt, because some of our more higher risk happen to be under control, as mentioned with, I know there's a lot of calls going on due to accidents on, roadways. But the roadways and the roadways are under municipal control. Can we use some of this report for the MTO, especially in some of the areas that are consistently accident prone? When we're asking them for example, the truck bypass to get around, when we're asking them to redesign an intersection that may be an intersection that has had a numerous amount of accidents and calls within it, is it something that we could use this type of a report for to push towards that level?
Through your worship, the councillor, absolutely. I would encourage you to do that. In fact, I would encourage you to have a conversation with the OPD inspector.
Oh, we will.
And what I would really encourage you to do is to take a look at the data that you have here from the fire service, who responds to collisions when people are injured. Then have a conversation with your paramedic service. Each of them have data. Use that data, put it all together, and that's where you get to go back to the MTO and say this is a high collision location. So where we came back to speaking about signage and realize the challenges that come with that. Sometimes putting up a sign in very bright color that says high collision intersection. That's slow down, or there are other things that if in a conversation with the OPD as an example, they can use their data to be able to show you what without getting into the actual fault, what's the cause? Because there is a cause to that, and cause could be people disobeying a traffic sign, etc. Well, there are things that you can do to modify that. If we know that we have a roadway that is a fairly high speed limit, stage it down before it gets to the intersection that's the problem. There's rumble strips, there's all kinds of, let's call them mechanical things there. But this is a start with the fire data. So now that you have this in hand, I would encourage you to ask for the data and then be able to take those data points, put them together. And when you have the global data points, I think the data is really going to speak to you. We can see quite well. I'm not going to go through the remainder of the profiles unless you wish me to go through them. I'm happy to chat about anything that's in the CRA, and we're happy to talk about it. I will just go through these strategic recommendations. At the end of the day, we've given you treatment profile options within each one of the profiles. But then we've also given you 8 strategic recommendations of things that council can think about how to shape the future. One thing that became startlingly clear to me in reading, researching, asking questions and so on, is that whether the town of Shelburne likes it or not, there's an awful lot of growth that's coming here. The question is, how do you prepare yourself best for that future? And that's where we looked at the strategic recommendations. So the number one thing, and I realize that there's a whole lot more that's in play here with the county, with other municipalities, etc. But look to the idea of conducting a master fire plan for the town of Shelburne. So where are we right now? Where are we going to grow? Unless we're going to grow out, we're going to grow up. If we're going to grow up, it changes things. And the next question becomes, what can you do in building design and the building approval to be able to improve safety? The building code is the minimum. It's by no means necessarily the best. There are lots of things that you can do, and you as council can encourage developers to do things. If you are going to have an area developed, I realize it would be very difficult to achieve a lengthy threshold of time within the town of Shelburne, within the geographic size, but there are things that you can do, such as it's done in other municipalities where, we'll approve that subdivision that you want to put in here, but you're gonna put a sprinkler system in each house, because we can't get there in the street design. And we don't want to lose the entire subdivision. So for the price of roughly $1 grand countertop, you can put your own suppression system right into the house. There's lots of things that you can do for that. When you're getting into the growth vertically, encourage the suppression systems. They will pay dividends for you.
I brought that up, the townhouses to the north here, because doesn't matter what type of housing you're putting in. It's glue and sawdust, basically, which catches fire, especially in a townhouse, it will just blow right out people all. Encourage them to put the sprinkler, but they don't have to put the sprinkler system in. They may or may not. Is there any way we can say, have to put it in? You don't have a choice.
I think in your approval process, you have to have a conversation with what's going to lead to the approval. And then once you've got an agreement, again, I can't speak for what will govern that or what will not. I would suggest that you probably have a big opinion on that. But try and do everything that you can to make that happen. In the case that I'm citing off the top of my head, Central York Fire Service was very effective in being able to do that and say, you need to have this condition of being development the way it should be, because we simply can't.
Well, that's part of it. The other part of it is the amount of water that the system will provide within that area to suppress the fire, once the fire starts. So when we talk to developers and we're going through developments, if we have not the ability to provide water, again, well, I guess I'm trying to reach, there has to be a system where we can almost put a hammer down and say, you've got a choice, you've got to put a sprinkler system in there to protect your residents, because that's my main concern, is protecting the people. And, making sure that there's a chance for them to get out of that building, including the high rise. It's the same thing, when you're on the 4th or 5th floor of a building and there's fire in that, you're not jumping out the window, that's for sure.
Your worship, I concur. There's a fire code that's required, and that's something that your fire department can give you advice on along with public works. Calculation on what the fire flow is, what sustainability, this will be volume of water, this is for you. The size of your hydrants are, what are in proximity to usable loop, or is it a T ending? All of those things will impact. Likewise, if you're having a development that's being put in, is a public hydrant system or is a private hydrant system? If it's private hydrant system, who's maintaining it, who's reporting it back as part of the risk management piece that you can look at, the whole things that you can look at as part of it. I would encourage you to explore that, because I think you have, if you were to go down that road and you were to continue the success, for instance, that Central York did, I think you will pay dividends in the industry. You'll really eager if you go down that kind of industry. Particularly looking at the concept of just being a very small organization, a small town with finite resources and a volunteer pay on call type of fire department. taking those steps to require these things as part of the development process would change the trajectory of when you're gonna get to the safe break maintenance and all that. You may change those in one. So, go ahead, John.
Sorry, just before John or Sean jumps in there, I think we just want
Yeah.
clarity.
Just through the mayor, to welcome the development point. Well, as much as we appreciate how important that would be, we cannot force the developer to install the condition. We could encourage them, as it was mentioned. That encouragement could actually align with a marketing undertaking where the person who's purchasing it feels a level of confidence and protection. That may also be reflected in their insurance rates with respect to the discounts that they would get, which cumulatively over time would actually then justify the additional costs. But I just wanted to make sure we, even the building code is really what we have to comply with. And anything that's outside of that as added value is something that's discretionary and certainly is usually a discretionary choice of purchaser values and is willing to pay more for that inclusion. So I just wanted to clarify that. I know within certain buildings, depending on the tenancy, which is long-term care, there's certainly requirements there that there must be suppression with respect to sprinklers, but not in a residential. So just to clarify that the biggest development that we have going forward will be mostly residential and a small commercial component. We can speak to those developers through our planning process, whether or not there should be something that those developers see as a value added that they would be willing at development stage to provide with respect to their planning.
So I just wondering if we could find out how Central York was able to convince that. That would be very interesting to know how they were able to do that. At least that gives us some kind of an idea as to how that process was rolled. And
Through your worship, I can speak to it at a very high level in their conversation with their chief fire prevention officer. The way that they did that was very difficult to be able to reach the area that the developer wished to work in, and it was going to be a very significant delay in fire response being able to get there. So as part of that subdivision agreement and so on, that was what was worked through. Because the construction system was being basically by the time until the fire department was found out. So that was a high level version of it. Okay, maybe able to give them that.
Okay,
So the question becomes, how does Bill 23 impact our ability to influence the developer when they don't have to share the plan with us under 10 units? And we have developers in the community right now doing that. So we don't know what they're putting in other than what's been provided to us by the building department. So they won't share the plans with us for 10 units or under, it makes it difficult to influence. So that was the comment. The observation I have is I'm looking at the map here and I'm just, it's interesting to see in the map, the two highest areas of calls are both in the areas of controlled intersections in our community. Highest controlled intersections, so crosswalks, lights. Is there driving behavior coming up? Is it people are just not paying attention? I mean, I'm going to assume not all of those calls are fire calls. I mean, that's the choice.
Through your worship, I would actually have to go back in and take a look at each one of the data points, and if that is information that the Shelburne District Fire Department has in their call logs, yes, some of them will be rescue, some of them will be medical, some of them mental health disabilities. But that's the long and short of it, is that's the power of asking the question now that you've got this piece of data. And you follow that with the questions to the paramedic service, and you follow that with questions to your team. And then work all of that data in totality, figure out what can we do, what's within council's purview to do. And start to make some substance here.
yeah, I noticed too, and Denise just mentioned that the two of the higher areas contain Dufferin Oaks and Shelburne residents, which I guess, it is to be expected that you're gonna have a lot of medical calls at nursing homes.
Don, anything to add in there, in that discussion? Okay, sorry, I can't see anything. So the second strategic recommendation is to collaborate and develop partnerships with agencies in the community. So don't take this all on your own. There are other organizations that already have programs who can help. It's just a matter of engaging them, and they may very well be able to do something for a lot less than what you can do it for yourself. And it may have that outcome, particularly in the public education department, dealing with the schools and with young people. And likewise, I would suggest you collaborate with those around you as well, because there's the power of the men as such. The other townships that are required to do the same things. In collaboration with the area chiefs, and I say this because right now our fire department doesn't respond solely in town, also into areas by agreement, to look at what their community risks are as well. Have a look at the call locations and the duration to determine the overall reliability and the availability of resources. As you grow, your call volume gets busier. You need to make sure that you have adequate resources to be able to do things. Mutual aid is a good thing. You can call upon another agency to come in and help you. And the way that mutual aid is supposed to work is like kind for like kind. So if you have something, you can borrow something from someone else in the back for things support. Develop an incremental operating and capital budget plan to maintain the minimum annual training and the certification requirements to be able to address the growth in the town and staffing needs for the department. Again, that's about the continuity of the operation in the future. To conduct an annual review of the community risk assessment, that's something that's required, that you take an annual look at it. There is a process that we use to be able to take the data that we obtain from the fire department and put it through a GIS system. Very happy to connect you up if you need help with that. To conduct the annual review of any partnerships and partnership agreements to say you can still do what it is that we want them to do and are they help. Consider the implementation of the treatment options that we've given you and work at it systematically. You don't have to do everything tomorrow. You can do things incrementally over the next 5 years. And then the last one is to continue the discussion on the merits of dissolving the SDFD fire board and bringing the SDFD under the town council's direct governance. Make sure that you're meeting the needs and the circumstances of the town's future growth, create service contracts with the remaining municipalities to be able to meet their municipal requirements. So again, hopefully your neighbors that you're in this with will also come out with an idea of goals and objectives and their service standards, and what they want people to respond to, what risks they have, and make sure that we have the availability to be able to respond to that. But you're saying stop what you're doing, but have a look at what you're doing. The county is looking at it at the moment. I would want it. How do you know about that? But right now, we've got the list as a council for the things that go on with the municipality getting that fire board that's in between. And that as a outline in the CRA, or should say has me some performances outlined in the CRA. That's an unusual circumstance and it's challenging if that's the stage. And I take it to the last slide, which is questions. Sean, did you have anything there?
No, thank you, Dave. That was well done.
Okay, thank you, sir. Questions for Dave? Chief Snyder, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think this is a very comprehensive review. Spent a lot of time with Dave and Sean providing all this data. Let's move forward with it. There's a lot of good recommendations, I think, in there. We are growing rapidly. We ran our 171st call today for this year, so we're on track to run that same numbers we ran last year, pretty much, and that just keeps increasing every year. We're wearing out firefighters. They ran 14 calls on the whole weekend. That's pretty tough for the people that we have to be leaving their families and whatnot on the long weekend 14 times.
And it's something that their employers in the middle.
Sometimes their employers, some of them were working on the long weekend and actually left their employer to go to Firehouse. And that's not always a good thing either, so. Thank you to KTA, thanks.
Sean, did I see your hand up there? Do you want to add something?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to say to Chief Snyder and his members, you know, it became very enlightening for Dave and I to see the passion and commitment and the work ethic and his commitment to his community and the communities he serves. So I want to thank the chief and give him my utmost respect for the job he's doing. I know he's coming to the end of his term, and we just wanted to thank him for all his support.
Thanks, Jeff.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Deputy Mayor Hall, who's also the chair of our Shelburne District Fire Board. So again, I was expecting something. So I really appreciate the overall report, outlining all of the items that you have there. Obviously, number 8's the most difficult. And, you know, Chief Schneider is in a very precarious position because he's dealing with 5 municipalities that have 5 risk assessments that all do not say the same thing. But each municipality is different. So for those around the table, it is very difficult for him to do that balance. And the priorities that we might have don't necessarily match with the priorities of the other municipalities come. So working at least at a starting point to get something that's standardized is the utmost importance. And, you know, I can't commend Chief Schneider enough for the efforts that he puts forward every day. And there's many things that people don't see with those efforts. Whether you're talking about staffing concerns or issues, and you know, the chief has to fill the role of doing those actual inspections so that we can stay on top of things. But it's very commendable with the work that he does. And again, we'll take this forward at this point, look at how we can assimilate the 5 municipalities and try to come up with the answers to all. But thank you very, very much. Chief.
I've only seen one other risk assessment yet, the draft of one other. I've got 3 more to come yet, but the 2 I've seen, the risks are considerably different from one municipality to the other because the municipalities are different, so the demographics different. Geography is different.
Yeah, the other, I mean, as we all know, the other municipalities are all mostly rural, for the only sort of urbanized center as part of the service. And I guess that's to be expected that the risk assessment will rarely correlate. From the one that you saw, was there a similar recommendation to our number 8?
Yes, there was.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, all right, well, maybe there will be some movement.
Yeah, it's all that the chairs stated according to a standard provision, but with the risk assessment being so different. And in the past, having been there with the needs and what we take out as a fire department and requirements is also extremely different. So it's going to be very, very hard for us to come up with a standard requirement from urban to the rules. And in the past, it's also been very difficult when we've required a specific piece of equipment because we need it in an urban setting and they require something that's in a rural setting. And there can be quite a bit of discussion trying to get to that point of capital requirements for the department. So I love that bridge. Let's put it that way.
Your worship, Councilor, you're absolutely right, and that's the basis of the recommendation for number 8. It's you as council have to do what appropriate thing for this municipality. And that's where you have the opportunity again to enter into a contract with other municipalities to provide services of the type and time to the level that they're asking for. And that way, if there's something that's very specific for that township, it may or may not be this department that would require that. But that's the purpose of the master fire plans. And I'm sure that some of your neighboring municipalities will probably have some very similar recommendations and the county's service review as partners. Take a look.
I think they might see that budgeting wise, they may see a lower budgeting amount depending on what they require, what they're currently putting in, so it may make them read a more final recommendation.
Seems like a good place to.
And
All right, so with that, do I have a motion to receive the CAO report and further to adopt the Town of Shelburne Community Risk Assessment as prepared by Center Performance Incorporated? And I'm going to add to that as well, just a further direction that we send a copy of this adopted risk assessment to the Shelburne District Fire Board. Move for second for that. Okay, I'm gonna give the honors to the Deputy Mayor as the chair. Seconded by Councilor Donato, who's a former fire board chair. All right, all in favor? Carried. All right, thank you, gentlemen. And I guess we'll probably see you again before the 5 years are up.
Hopefully.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Retired.
Is here. You're still here.
Oh.
You don't give it up on us.
There they are, sorry.
Well, that's fine, that's fine.
Funny.
That cool beer out there.
Yeah.
Big Jacksonville, they have the bank tomorrow.
I'm not gonna read the presentation of the video, but I go along, so every once in a while, like. Trying to see where it is.
All right, well, I'll turn it over to you. You guys are great. Okay, good. Do that. Just while you're looking at that picture that 10 pack. Let's throw that out there. So good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for having the Rotary Club of Shelburne here this evening. Talk a little bit about Rotary International Rotary. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bill Wade and I'm president of Rotary again this year. We do two-year stints as president. Before I say any more, we do have some Rotarians here. Any Rotarians want to just put up your hand and just wave? Right, good. And the next slide. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's great. So Rotary is an organization that's been around for almost 120 years. It was founded in 1905 by Paul Harris in Chicago. It didn't become an international organization until 1912. It was Rotary Club of Winnipeg pulled it up. I don't know if they linked it between the two except cold weather, but Canada was the second country and became a, as I say, a international organization. Right? Oh. Thank you. So I mentioned Rotary is a worldwide organization. One of the nice things about being a worldwide organization is we're able to link with other clubs and do some good work in other countries, and also learn from other clubs what they do. I was on a business trip in Washington, DC. We went to a restaurant with a couple of colleagues from work, and I saw Rotary Meats here, and I said, geez, that's our night. We're barged in, we barged in. There's no problem, come on in, we ordered from the restaurant and everything. And they had a program they talked about. It was a dictionary program for grade 3 students. And we came back, I came back and talked to the club about it. For several years, our club introduced grade 3 dictionaries to the schools here. Of course, I mentioned dictionary now. You throw an iPad at you, right? Back then it was a good idea. So a lot of kids out there tend to help manage it, and a lot of kids out there may still have their grade 3. They're probably in their 40s now, but anyways. So our club here started in 1938. We're in our 86th year. It's something we're quite proud of and humbled by the opportunity to follow in the footsteps of people
That long ago, I guess, we had the vision to get involved in Rotary and do good in the community. I mentioned here we used to be a men's only club in 1992. We accepted women to the club. And 1996, Dr. Colette Whiting became the first woman member of the club, and she's still a member. And for you, some of you probably doing the math, 1996, yeah, she joined at 12. Okay, so I guess we have beer across the street from there. So the idea of this slide is to show you where we were roughly in 2000. Not meant to be exact numbers. If it was exact numbers, you're probably doing the math also to figure out that we had 3.5 women. And we really didn't, we actually had probably 4, but it's illustrating what the club was like then and what it's like now. And of course, one of the things that jumps out at you, or several things really, but there's more women than men. And thank God there are, even the women we have in the club who are doing leading so many good projects. And the other thing, of course, is the average age of the club. If I was to ask some people now, or certainly several years ago, Walter might attest to this, they would say we were an old white men's club, and they might have used the word rich white, right? Now we're not rich, and we're not white men. We're a lot of women, we represent the community with our diversity of members, certainly. So we're quite pleased about that. The other thing we've done, weekly attendance, and we used to keep attendance. We're much more about participation, how you can get involved, what you can do, not showing up at every meeting for a meal and socializing. It's more about doing good work in the community, which we think is like so many clubs, organizations, Rotary has a website to try to keep current up to date. Some people once in a while, some people on the council here, I'll see a like. Which is good, on Facebook. We've also started an electronic newsletter to get information out to people. They can sign up, and of course, like every newsletter, you can always unsubscribe if you find it boring, but it is a good way for more and more people to see what Rotary is doing, which we find is good. And if anybody's interested, you can go to our website and join, and there's a QR code that people can use as well to join our newsletter. So Rotary takes pride in our commitment to helping others. Our Rotary model, service above self, and we believe we're people of action. And for us, service above self is more than a model. It really is what we believe. We do try to help others as we can, and recognize that we've been very lucky in life, wherever we are in life, and others aren't, and try to make some changes for the better for people. I wanted to list some of our current fundraisers, just to give you an idea of the things we did. We had a fairly successful raffle, although I did not win the Yeti cooler. It was still a very successful raffle. The Tim Hortons was a great prize. We sold lots of tickets. I didn't know I didn't win either. Well, I shouldn't have mentioned the raffle. Let's go beat up the guy who didn't win. The Tim Hortons Smile 50 campaign, of course, the EDC Shelburne golf tournament. Pumpkin Fest, our second year, and thank council for supporting it this year. We're going to try to make it a bigger and better event. It's a great event for us because it can have the opportunity of making us money, but also have a great impact in the community with families and all parents, grandparents. So we're very excited about doing that again. We're having a gala dinner this year out at the Shelburne Golf and Country Club. And the money will go to some Rotary causes as well as the food bank. We're hoping to raise quite a bit of money on that to help folks. And we do Christmas baskets.
When's the dinner?
November 16th. November. Okay. It's November. Well, if you come over, we'll have a cake. I can't say how many camels. The third project we perform each year. This is a list of them. Won't run through obviously the entire list. One of the things we added this year is we're going to I know council and in the past that we're going to have to float and work with the food bank and such, move along. And I'm sure it'll take a few years before people realize what's going on, but start collecting food and training. Great. Business standards that we support, of course, obviously, we're big in the splash pad, raising money, raising funds for that. So on a regular basis, we wanted to list the organizations we support. And quite frankly, there are organizations that have come to depend on us. We're probably in a position, and I'm sure you feel the same, that a lot of them are expecting that we'll be there to be able to help them to have a program. And that's fine, but it does mean we have to work hard and raise money for them to be in different organizations. We always get requests for new causes, and we're always there to try to help. Ongoing every few years, first the Headwaters Hospital, the MRI, we get a $10,000 donation to that. Autism fundraiser to allow people with some disabilities to play hockey. So that continually grows every year, and quite frankly, looking at that list, several will be probably moving over to the regular, will probably come back and ask us for support, and we're more than happy to support, because there are some great causes. And we were very pleased about, since you know, we were very pleased about the working with you on Jewel Beach and Legion. We thought it was fantastic, fantastic. So thank you for that. Who we want to thank, of course, we want to thank so many organizations, our sponsors, supporters, friends, families, county, town. It's amazing what the town can do when everybody gets together and pitches in, and some can help here, some can help there. You know, if you need a potato, you know where to go. If you don't get a potato, you have to go somewhere else. But it's amazing. It's amazing what you can do when you all want to work together to make things in town a little bit better. So we generally thank everybody, including the council. We couldn't do it without you and without all of them. And then just to wrap up, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But if we're allowed, we're hoping to be able to give you a donation for the splash pad enhancements this evening. Money we've raised over the year. We want to continue to see the splash pad be used in the a little more workable. Like I think you're working on shading, we're working on some other things, and they if there any no questions, I'm very good, no questions.
No question, Bill. I just want to thank you and the rest of the Rotarians in the room, and those that aren't here, just for the incredible work that you do in the community. You have to look only at the list of things that you do. And I think that becomes even more impressive when you consider that all of that work is done by a group of 60 people. So to all of you who are here, and then please pass the same message along to those who aren't here. Thank you so much for what you continue to do for the town of Shelburne and for the surrounding area. Yeah, I think that's that's important to point out. That this work, yes, it's impactful within the town of Shelburne, but there are a lot of people outside of the geographic boundaries of Shelburne proper who benefit from that work of Shelburne. So thank you. Thank you very much. We're happy to serve the community, and I'm happy working with you to do that. So thank you all of you for that. So you good for us to give you a check? You a big check. We'll give you a little one too. Great. Yeah, it might be easier actually. Okay, why don't we just take a quick 5-minute recess? Okay, sure. We'll be in the hall out there. We'll have around the big check. All right, thank you. Oh, I was being recorded.